Hi everybody, welcome back to our YouTube channel, Twins with Wheels. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Kristen. And you can see we're in a different place in the house again today.
We're just moving all around.
I know, we are.
This is what COVID does. You just get really bored and you just move all around your house.
Yep.
So today we have a great interview.
Yeah.
We are interviewing Jennifer Kumiyama, who lives in California. Kristen actually met her at the Miss Wheelchair America.
Yes.
So when were you didn't compete with her
against her, no.
You saw her the next year when you were giving up your crown?
No, actually it was a couple of years after that.
Oh, okay. And she was
Miss Wheelchair
California. Okay.
And she was first runner-up too, actually.
Yes. I think we're going to mention that. So Jennifer's made great strides in her, not only in her personal life, but also has broken down a lot of doors and stigmas in the entertainment business for people with disabilities. And you're going to see kind of what she's done and what she's accomplished in the interview and how she's done it. She's first of all, she's a great person.
Yeah.
So sweet and amazing at what she's been able to accomplish.
Yeah, definitely.
So here's that interview with Jennifer Kumiyama. Hi everybody, so we're going to be talking to Jennifer. Jennifer was born with arthrogryposis and uses a power wheelchair for her daily mobility.
That was really good.
Thank you.
I couldn't pronounce it. That's why she did it. I'm just going to give a little bit of background on Jennifer. First of all, she has an incredible voice. We've both heard
Amazing. I sang with her. Thank you very much.
I know, I didn't get to. She trained at Long Beach City College and California State University in Long Beach. She was on Pop Stars 2. Oh, I want to ask her about that.
Yeah.
And this is really good. She was in the cast ensemble of Aladdin, a musical spectacular at Disney's California Adventure theme park. She was the first performer in a wheelchair on any Disney stage in the world. She's been a speaker and a strong advocate for people living with disabilities. She wore the Miss Wheelchair California crown and was first runner-up at Miss Wheelchair America, which is where Jennifer and I actually met. Was on Miss Wheelchair America. She's also an actress, and she travels the world. And basically, she's kind of a badass.
She is.
I'm gonna say.
Yep.
So welcome, Jennifer. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I'll ask the first question. So why don't we start by telling us a little bit about arthrogryposis and how it affects you?
So arthrogryposis, for short, is called AMC.
Okay. Oh, you should have told me that.
I'm so sorry. The minute it left my mouth, I was like, I probably should have told that. But it is a congenital disability. There are very many different forms of arthrogryposis, and it happens usually in 1 in 3,000 births. So some people with AMC have use of their upper extremities or their lower extremities, or some people like me are affected in all 4 limbs.
So it's basically your limbs.
Yeah, basically my limbs. It's the muscle and bone structure. So I have limited range of motion in all 4 of my limbs. And some of my joints are fused, like my wrists are fused, my ankles are fused, and I have very limited range of motion in all of my other joints, like my knees and my hips and my elbows and my shoulders.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm so excited that you were actually in Aladdin. So let's go right to that. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience when you were in Aladdin, and how did it come about?
First of all, it was probably, to this date, the best thing that's probably ever happened in my life. It was the summer of 2000, and there was an open call for auditions for a brand new Broadway theater type theme park show, which was really interesting because it happened right after Disney started getting really big with like the theater and things like that.
Yeah.
So it was for Aladdin, a staged version of Aladdin, 45-minute brief show of the cartoon done live in person. So I remember a bunch of my friends and I, we went to audition in Hollywood at the Debbie Reynolds studio, which is no longer there anymore, which is really sad. But I remember there being, the line was wrapped
Oh, I bet.
several times.
I'm sure.
And I'd never really been to a call that big in my life at that point. But of course, as most auditions, unless it calls for somebody with a disability, I was the only person with a disability there, with a very obvious disability that was there. So it was a very long audition process. It was an entire week, every other day. I went in the first day and I thought I choked because I had to start my song over 5 times. And I was like, well, I'm glad that's over. I'll never have to do that again. I go home, and this is before I had a cell phone. I go home and check my voicemail, and there is a voicemail on my landline, and they asked me to call them back, to fax me the sides to audition and do a callback. So I was very shocked that I even got a callback. And that process happened 2 more times. So I think I auditioned total maybe 4 times. It was four auditions, and then I just waited. I waited 4 months. The last audition it was really exciting because they fit you for the costume in case you make it. So it's a full-on fitting.
Oh wow.
And that was, I was like, oh my god, this is terrible, because I felt like, what if I don't get it? Like, how you just get in your head and you're like your own worst critic. But I waited 2 months, and I remember being in a coffee house here in Long Beach on 2nd Street called Polly's Coffee, studying for tests for college, and my phone rings, and it was Disney Casting, and they're like, we want to offer you full-time, 5 days a week, benefits and all that, 4 shows a day, and I was so excited. So that was the beginning, and I stayed for the whole duration of the show, all 13 years. But I think the biggest takeaway from, there's a few takeaways from that whole experience, was the people, my castmates, whether they were on stage or tech or a costuming or production crew, the people that I met at Disney or through Disney, and the relationships that we've built are definitely like family, and I still keep in touch with a lot of people today. And the second takeaway was, I think actually being in the show was my springboard to Miss Wheelchair California. I think after I was cast in the show, realizing that being in the show was more than fulfilling my own personal goals and dreams. It was fulfilling something in the entertainment industry that was lacking, and that's the visibility of performers with disability on stage, especially in live productions and theater. So it was a lot of pressure. I was young. I was like 20.
Oh wow.
I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 20, other than sing. But taking on that responsibility of being, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use this as my platform, and I'm gonna fight for people with disabilities in the entertainment industry and just in everyday life. So Disney opened a lot of doors for me, and it still continues to do that, even though I have not been with the company since 2016.
Wow, 13 years you were?
13 years.
Wow, 4 shows a day.
4 shows a day.
Wow.
Yeah, during the holidays it was 5 shows a day, and it was just, what is it saying, you don't know what you've got till it's gone? I remember doing 4 show days and be like, oh, my body hurts, oh, I can't sing anymore. But now I'm like, working outside and we call them civilian jobs is different.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was the best experience of my life.
Yeah, I can imagine. So what kind of accommodations did you need and that they offered to you?
So it was very, me joining the company was definitely like being in a relationship, any sort of relationship. We learned a lot about each other. I learned a lot about myself and what I needed as an employee with a disability, as a performer with a disability. So my accommodations were, assistance with costuming, just like everybody else in the cast got. Of course, mine was definitely different because I can't clothe myself or change myself.
Right.
Assistance with our wigs and just things like packing up and going home. Halfway, about a little less than halfway through the rehearsal process, my body was not used to being in my chair for, it was like 9 to 12 hours.
Yeah, I bet. Huh?
So they actually ended up getting me a cot so I could get out and stretch, which was really beneficial, not only to my comfort, but to like my joints and just, keeping, like I say, I guess as limper, I'm not limper, but like, we need to keep our range of motion intact as much as we can.
Yeah.
So it was things like that. And then, other things kind of fell into place. I can't feed myself. When I got there, it was let us know what you need and we'll figure it out. So that's exactly what I did. And there was that fear on my behalf initially of like, what if I ask for too much, It's very, it's just like dating.
Yeah.
But, so I at first, would say, hey, can I get this? And then, once I realized that me having access to these types of accommodations wasn't because I wanted them, it was because I needed them. I needed them to thrive. Once I saw that more clear, I guess it was easier for me to ask for things. And being there for 13 years, like the body changes, especially our bodies. Having disabilities, our bodies change.
Yeah.
They get old fast.
Yes, old fast. And so it was, what I needed changed throughout time, but they were always very open to discovering ways to make it work for both of us.
That's great.
Me and myself.
I want to ask this question because I'm excited about it.
Okay.
So one thing we didn't mention in the introduction was the fact that you were on Celebrity Undercover Bus, which I love. Undercover Bus. I was so excited first to see you on the show, but to see a person with a disability on a national TV show I think is great, because I really think you're right. I think people need to start seeing more of that. So what was that experience like for you? I know you got to meet Adina Menzel, who I adore.
Oh my God.
Love.
I'm going to start from the beginning, that way I don't miss out on anything, because that entire experience was a whirlwind, and it was hilarious every step of the way. So I did a show called A Little Night Music in Burbank at the theater, and it was the first show that I'd done after Aladdin closed. Now, that was kind of a big deal for me because, you go from singing every day for like the majority of the day to, getting a regular job where you're not singing. And it was a challenge for me, and I loved it, and I loved every aspect of it. It was a great show. I'd never heard of it before, which is crazy as well. But so I think they found me there at the Colony Theater. So I get this random Facebook message, and it's somebody was like, hey, we're doing this show. We can't tell you what network it is. We can't tell you what show it is. And I'm like, are you really trying to kidnap a girl in a wheelchair? This does not sound legit at all. But of course, because I'm nosy, and I was like, well, what is it? He said, well, it's a feel-good show, and we're going to focus on people who perform or who are in the industry, which kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't really immersed in the industry like I had been in the past 13 years. So, I was like, okay, I did it. So it coincided, filming the show coincided with rehearsals for a show I did at the Hollywood Bowl. It was Willy Wonka and the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, filmed to stage at the Hollywood Bowl. Amazing. It was great. So my sister had already taken the week off, and she was like, okay, I'll help you. We'll go to rehearsals and do all that. And I told her, we were in the car, and I said, oh, we have to go here first. She said, well, what are we doing? And I said, we're filming a TV show. And she goes, what do you mean we? And I was like, you have to be in it too. And I was like, oh my God, is this what it's like when role reversal happens when your parents get older and then the child becomes the parent? Because we're 10 years apart and she's younger. So I was like, oh my God, you sound like she's like, where are we going? And I was like, we're going to the children's hospital. We're going to sing for the babies. I highly doubt anything's going to happen. I'm going to be that crazy because you're not going to want me to sing for the babies. So she was like, okay. She was like, so we get there. We sit in the car for like an hour. They come and they mic both of us up. She's freaking out because she's like, what am I doing on camera? And I was like, no, just go with it. They said we're going to get paid. It's fine. It's fine. I'm freaking out deep down inside because I'm like, what if this is totally like not
Legit.
Yeah. And they end up kidnapping us. She's going to kill me. We go there and we finally pull up. They talk in our ear. They're like, pull up to the door. You're going to meet a person that you're going to mentor. And I said, okay. So we get there. We pull up. I look over and I'm like, that's Adina Menzel. I was like, that's Adina Menzel. That is Adina Menzel. And so we get out of the car. We talk to this lady who's dressed up, and her name is Helen. And we get in the elevator, and I'm texting my sister. We're standing next to each other, but we're both mic'd. So I didn't want to, so we're sitting there texting. I said, Heather, that is Adina Menzel outside the elevator door. She texts me back, and she's looking at me, rolling her eyes. She's like, no, it's not. I said, you want to make a bet? And I don't know if it's because I'm the oldest of 6 kids, but I love a good bet. And I like bringing people around. It's so terrible. It's a horrible thing. So we're sitting there, and I said, well, if I win, then you owe me 10 sister dates to my favorite place, which is Wingstop. I know I'm not a very cheap date. I love wings, whatever. She goes, well, what do I get if I win? I said, if you win, then we will come home. Okay, let's do it. So we get there, we sing, the kids come out. They're, production is telling us to do all these things, like, have her help you set up the area where you're going to sing for the kids, and really tell her what it's like to, like, give back to the community and be a singer and in and out of, the industry and things like that. So we get there and we do it. And so I go out there and I sing my song, and then this random kid says, is your friend gonna sing? And I said, I don't know, is my friend gonna sing? So she looks at me, she's like, what song should I sing? And some kid goes, let it go! And I was like, I can't contain it anymore. The minute she started singing, I just got overwhelmed. I never in my life thought that my paths would cross with international, like, movie, TV, theater star.
Yeah, like best singer.
She was so amazing, and she was so humble, and she was so pleasant. It was just such joy. So yeah, I look over at my sister, and she's sitting out in the corner, and she's crying. She's like, oh my God, I'm so happy. And I looked at her and I was like, well, she still hasn't put up, but So that was that experience. It was really awesome. It was great, and I loved it.
Yeah, I watched it a couple of times.
Yeah, I did too. It was great. It really was.
Great. The awesome part was that we got to take our parents to New York. My sister had never been to New York, but we went to sing for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS Easter Bonnet competition. So I got to sing with Adina on the Lion King stage on Broadway.
Oh my God.
It was epic. I felt like a kid in a candy store.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what did you sing?
Blessed. We sang For Good.
Oh my God.
We sang
the same that you say, that you guys
Yeah,
sang.
you and I sang that.
we sang our song.
Yeah. How did I not get in on that? I don't know. What was I
We were trying to do a sound check, and you were still getting ready. And I was out on there, and I wanted to practice, and she had just finished singing, because she was singing too. And so I said, well, what, can you just kind of stay and do Kristen's part? So we sang For Good.
Yeah, she was so amazing. And yeah, she was great.
That's wow. Yeah. So what have you been working lately? What types of things do you plan on doing in the future?
Well, I was laid off in June. I had a city job, and then COVID happened. But the transition from performing to a regular, I call it a regular job, but to a regular job was, it had already been something that I was really passionate about. I had before the show ended, I became a commissioner. So and I'm back on the commission now that I don't work for the city anymore, but it's the Citizens Advisory Commission for people with disabilities in the city of Long Beach. So our job is to inform and sometimes, give our advice to the mayor on all issues that affect people with disabilities
Oh, wow.
in the city of Long Beach. So my passion to serve the community stemmed from there and from this wheelchair. And so I worked for the former councilwoman who's now the senator of the 33rd district in California, Senator Lena Gonzalez, and I also helped with the implementation of her, the person that was elected after her, which is Councilwoman Mary Zayas, the first councilwoman in Long Beach with a physical disability. And Mary has polio and she's in a wheelchair. So
Great.
that was a really awesome experience. I worked really close with the community and city staff, and that's another thing that I'm really passionate about as well. Right now, I just finished wrapping up my very first campaign that I managed, and it was for Melinda Chico for Long Beach Community College trustee for Area 4 in Long Beach here, and she actually won. And I am still working for a campaign fundraising consulting firm for people who run for office. So we've definitely just come off of the height of the very busy election.
Yes.
Yes.
It's very successful for the firm and for me personally.
That's great. Now you get to take a break.
I know. Although sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but that's okay. Yeah.
Good.
So.
All right. So, anything else that you would like to tell our subscribers? The reason that we did this, started the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, was to highlight people with disabilities just like you, who are out there, who are, she hates when I talk with my hands, who are out there and who are in the community and being seen by other people in the community and working and doing all that. So anything that you want other people to know about you or your experiences?
I think a lot of the work that I do, well, first of all, disability is so intersectional with every other aspect of life. Therefore, I guess in short, what I would like your viewers to remember is that we need a seat at the table, at every table, where the lives of people are being discussed. And when we talk about equity, we need to remember people with disabilities, people with disabilities that you couldn't see, disabilities that you can't see, in every aspect. So that's people who we elect, people who we see on TV or read about in magazines or in books. Even as an aunt, I have many nieces and nephews, and I think it's very important for people with disabilities to be included in the things that affect them, their education, what they watch on TV, things like that. So I had a chief of staff that said something that stuck with me all the time. He said, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And that really, really resonates with me. And so
Wow, yeah.
regardless of, what work I'm doing, or even if it's not, me speaking up for something that affects me directly, I'm going to speak up for myself and the person next to me and the person next to them, and so on and so forth. A lot of people think that, because they weren't born with a disability, that they might not end up with one in life. And the reality is we are all susceptible to disability. Even people with disabilities, we all age, we all get older. Unfortunately, people get in accidents, people get illnesses and things like that, so on and so forth. So I think speaking up for, disability equity is something that we need to remember to do in every aspect of life.
Well said.
Yes.
Very well said.
I really like the seat at the table. That's
I think that's
That struck me hard. I was like, I'm not about to be on anybody's menu.
Nope.
I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, that's we just want to show that there's a lot of people just like us that want, we want a place at the table, and we are capable of doing it. And I think there's just still a lot of people that don't get that. So thank you for showing us.
Even now with COVID, everyone's, working from home and working remotely, and this has opened up the eyes and the minds of companies internationally. People with disabilities might not always be able to leave their house, but they can work. We can work from home. We can go to an office. We can, work in a coffee shop. The possibilities are endless. And I think we owe it to the people who fought for the rights that we have to keep fighting for those rights and teaching our young people with disabilities how to fight for their rights.
Yep. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yep. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
It was so good to see you. I missed you.
You too. I know, I miss you all too. I still remember my trip to Rhode Island very fondly.
Oh,
It's such a good time.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah. So
now we have to get out to California.
Yeah.
California would love you. It's nice and warm here.
I know. It's 40 degrees here, so.
I know. We got to get out of this weather.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you all so much. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We'd like to thank Jennifer for coming on our show today. We hope that you think she's as amazing as we do.
I think she did great.
Yeah.
She's such a great person.
She really is.
I wish she lived closer.
I know. So we're going to put her information down below so you guys can check her out if you want to as well.
And we want to thank her for not only the time she's spent with us tonight, but the time that she has spent with her whole life working to really break down those barriers of people with disabilities. And she seems to do that in her daily life every day, which is just fabulous. I think she's such a great role model for everybody, but especially for people with disabilities. So
I like how she said, we need a seat at the table.
And she's absolutely right. We do. Yep. And I think she will be fighting for that for
a long time.
Yep. So thanks to her again.
Mm-hmm.
So don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. And please don't forget your state COVID regulations. It's getting kind of scary again out there, and holidays are coming. So please remember social distancing and wearing your masks. Okay?
Someday we won't have to say that.
I hope so. Bye, everybody.
Bye.